Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, OP's amid a seemingly strong marriage recounts a disturbing discovery. His wife's affair with her stepfather, concealed through fishing trips. Shocked by their betrayal, he orchestrates their exposure, devastating both his wife and her mother. Despite confronting her, his wife vanishes. Resolute, he initiates divorce proceedings. Left with unanswered questions, he grapples with the fallout of shattered trust and lost love. Now let's get into the story. A little backstory. My wife, 27 female, and I have been married for 5 years, and things had been going well. We had some issues at the beginning of the pandemic due to the forced proximity, but we worked through them and came out stronger on the other side. My wife's biological father died when we were on our honeymoon. We ended up having to leave early and come back to the States to help plan for the funeral and comfort her mother. After a few years, her mom decided to start dating again, and that's when she met her new husband. It took a bit of adjusting for my wife because she felt somewhat betrayed that her mother had moved on. I helped her see that her mother was still young, and she couldn't go through the rest of her life alone. At first, she didn't even care to get to know the man. He was a few years younger than her mother, but not so much as to cause concern. I guess in my wife's head, she automatically assumed the worst and thought he was with her mom for her money. I was close with her mom as well, so I took it upon myself to try and unite the family and convince my wife to give her new stepdad a proper chance. After about a year, it seemed like she was really warming up to him. As it turned out, they had a lot in common, and they were able to find some common ground to bond over. Last summer, we invited a bunch of relatives to stay at our house for the weekend. We had just installed an in-ground pool and hot tub, so we threw a huge barbecue to put them to good use. I noticed about halfway through the evening that my wife was MIA. She was supposed to be helping me with a lot of the cooking and hosting the party. I looked everywhere for her, but I couldn't find her. About an hour after I realized she was missing, I saw her walking up to the pool with her stepfather close behind. I walked up to them and asked where they were. They'd both just shrugged their shoulders, and my wife said they had gone to the small pond behind the house to see if there were any fish. I didn't think anything of it then, but now I know that is where this all started. Weeks and months passed, and my wife had been growing distant. I knew things were stressful for her at work, so part of me thought that was where it stemmed from. She was also spending more time with her stepfather, which I never thought was anything to be concerned about. He had a boat that he would take her fishing on since that was something she used to do with her dad. The more I think about this story, the more I know Freud is rolling around in his grave, screaming that he was right. Anyway, I pulled my wife aside one weekend when she had planned on going fishing with him and told her that I felt like she was pulling away from me. I suggested we go out, just the two of us, and spend the weekend somewhere nice. She seemed reluctant to agree, but in the end, she called her stepfather and canceled. I booked us an aerodrome at this cozy mountain lodge so we could spend some quality time sightseeing. When I say she was glued to her phone the entire trip, believe me, she hardly took her eyes off of it. I didn't want to say anything about it because I could sense that we would just argue about it if I did, so I kept my mouth shut. However, I was curious about what was so important. Later that afternoon, she decided to take a nap in front of the fireplace. I took the opportunity to peek at what she was up to. Right away, I was shocked by what I found. The text message exchanges between her and her stepfather were filthy. They had been sending each other pictures and scheduling dates to go out. They had been referencing things they had done on the occasions they'd been together. I realized that all of the boat trips were just an excuse for them to sleep together. Not only was I furious about what she had done to me to throw away our marriage, but I was also angry about what she had done to her mother. Her actions were completely unforgivable, and I could see no way of moving forward with her. I didn't have time to send myself any screenshots or record any of the evidence. She was a light sleeper, and I didn't want her to wake up and see me snooping on her phone. I needed to catch them in the act. That would be the only way I could divorce her and retain my assets. She woke up shortly after and ended up in the house. Immediately looked through her phone, no doubt texting her stepfather discussing things. I faked a stomach bug so we could go back to the house and I could distance myself from her. Because we cut the trip short, she used that as an excuse to meet up with her stepfather to go fishing. I just nodded my head and told her to go for it because I didn't want to look at her. I didn't realize what opportunity was in front of me when she left, but shortly after, I realized it was the perfect time to catch her. I debated involving her mother-in-law in all of it, but in the end, I figured that she needed to know. I called her up to see what she was doing, and when I told her I wanted to grab lunch, she was more than happy. On the way there, I told her I had to drop something off for my wife at the boat. We both walked down the docks to where the boat was and boarded it. It was still at the marina, so I worried that maybe they weren't actually on the boat together. When we walked to the cabin below, we found them. We caught them in the middle of the act together. I pretended to be shocked and comforted my mother-in-law while she digested what was happening. My wife tried to justify it by saying she was in love with him, unlike she had ever been with anyone else, but it only made things worse. I drove my mother-in-law home, leaving them both behind on the boat. I comforted her and ensured she was okay before I made any attempts to figure out what I planned to do. Eventually, she calmed down enough to call my wife and confront her. She told her over the phone that she never wanted to see her again and couldn't forgive her for what she'd done. I stayed with my mother-in-law for a couple of days so she wouldn't feel so alone. After we took all of her future ex-husband's things out of the house and changed the locks, I went home to find that my wife had left. I emailed her, telling her I was filing for divorce, but she never replied. I still have no clue where she or her stepfather is, but I'm filing for a default divorce. Today's second story. In this story, OP reflects on his 5-year relationship with his extroverted girlfriend, detailing their journey from college to living together. Despite feeling close, he discovers his girlfriend's infidelity after a suspicious party where she was seen with another man. Confronted with explicit messages, he publicly breaks up with her during a planned proposal, exposing her affair to friends and strangers. Now let's get into the story. I really thought of her as my best friend. I never would have thought she could do something to hurt me. However, I was wrong and now I'm here writing this post. My girlfriend has a ton of friends, but I have a smaller group of buddies that I hang out with. I'm very introverted. She is the poster child for extroverts. She can make friends literally anywhere she goes. I've always thought that was a charming quality of hers, especially since it's always forced me to come out of my shell a little bit more. One of her good friends had a birthday coming up, so she took it upon herself to plan a surprise girls' night for her and the rest of their friend group. I even helped my girlfriend plan some of the stuff. Like I said, I'm a bit of an introvert, and some people don't really think my personality meshes well with my girlfriend's. One of her friends in particular always made me nervous when she was around my girlfriend. I don't know why, but I had a suspicion that she was particularly against me. I had never done anything to her, but it seemed like she was out to get me. She never made it a secret that she didn't like me. She was going to be at the party with my girlfriend, which made me a little uneasy. However, I trusted her and I didn't think she was going to let her friend constantly badmouth me all night long. So, the night of the party came and I agreed to drive my girlfriend over to her friend's apartment because she didn't want to have her car with her. She invited me up to say hi to everyone, and for the most part, everyone was fine. I thought it was a joke about how she knew someone who would be a good fit for my girlfriend. My girlfriend gave her a dirty look and told her to stop, so I felt confident that she wouldn't entertain anything. I went back home and took advantage of the time I had alone to play some video games. I spent a few hours online with one of my buddies, and when I was done I plopped it down on the couch and started scrolling through my phone. I saw some Instagram stories from the girls who had been at the party, so I looked at them just to see what everybody was up to. For the most part, everything seemed totally fine. I saw my girlfriend sort of running the party and still having a good time, but as time went on she sort of disappeared from the posts. It almost looked like she left early. I didn't think much about it. In fact, I just called it a night and went to bed. My girlfriend was spending the night over at her friend's house, and I was just excited to see her the next day. When I woke up in the morning, I looked through my phone again, where all of the girls had posted their nights on their official pages. Every time I saw one on my feed, I scrolled through the photos, but when I came across the girl who didn't like me, I stopped. One of the pictures she posted was of her, my girlfriend, and another guy. All three of them were arm in arm and smiling. It struck me as odd because I was told it was a girls-only party, so I didn't know why there was a guy there. On top of that, his hands were very low on my girlfriend's body. I could tell that she was blushing and smiling as she looked up at him, but I didn't know if that was perhaps the alcohol or if it was flirting. I thought back to what her friends said about having somebody who would be a better fit for her, and my heart sank. Did she really try to set my girlfriend up with another guy? I looked at the tag on the picture and found his profile. I knew most of my girlfriend's friends, and I never met him before. However, he and my girlfriend were following each other on Instagram. It was also alarming to see that he was very clearly in a relationship. I didn't want to bring it up when she got back later that day because I didn't want to sound like some crazy, jealous boyfriend. A few days had passed, and I was noticing she was acting kind of weird. One of the biggest red flags to me was that she was less willing to spend time with me. She was distant. Instead of watching television shows with me, she would be on her phone in the bedroom watching them. She didn't hug me or kiss me, and we didn't sleep together, which was odd. I never knew where she was when she was going out. Normally, she would tell me that she was going to the gym or the library, but she was slipping out without giving me any information. I asked her about it, and she told me that she was an adult and didn't need permission to go places. We ended up getting into an argument that night, and I could tell that a lot of it was based around things her friend had said about me. She told me when she was angry that she almost felt like I was holding her back from excitement in her life. I didn't know what to say after that, so I just left. When I returned in the morning, she apologized and told me that she didn't mean it. We ended up forgiving each other and moving on. But after several days of the same things happening, I figured that there was something wrong that she was hiding from me. While she was asleep one night, I grabbed her phone and looked through her messages. My mind had been going crazy, and I needed some assurance that it was just paranoia. I looked for the name of the man that I saw in the picture first, but nothing came up. Then I searched the word nightclub in her messages to see what came up. There were a lot of messages between her and her friends, but I found one friend named Chloe on her phone that I didn't know. I knew everybody that was invited to the party. They had a small group going, but I genuinely didn't think that my girlfriend had a friend named Chloe. I clicked on those messages and behold, Chloe was actually a man. Well, the man from the Instagram post. I looked through the messages and confirmed all of my worries. They had been exchanging explicit pictures and messages. In one message, he said that he couldn't wait to be with her again. My mind was completely focused on the word again when I read it. The absolute worst part of all of it was reading a message from my girlfriend where she said that I was boring and she wanted to spice up her life by sneaking around with the other guy. My world felt like it had completely caved in. All of the dreams that I had for my life with my girlfriend had been shattered, and I didn't know what to do to move forward. I left the bedroom and sat in the living room thinking about what I was going to do. I had no interest in staying with somebody who cheated on me and treated me like I was nothing to them. If she wanted some excitement, I would give her some. Like I said earlier, I was planning on proposing. I had a ring and everything. If she wanted to humiliate me, I was going to publicly humiliate her in front of her friends and hundreds of strangers. Being the extrovert that she is, we thought that a public proposal would be ideal for her. She would have wanted people to see the grand gesture of our love. The day came for the proposal, and it was picture perfect. It was a cool winter day. There were snow flurries in the air, and it was a romantic evening. She and I had gone to a roller rink that popped up in the heart of the city every winter. 3 of her friends and my best friend were hiding in the crowd and videotaping us because they were expecting me to propose. I asked the DJ for the microphone, telling him that I had a special surprise planned for my partner. He assumed I was proposing, so he handed it over to me, and I got on the microphone to get the attention of my girlfriend. All of the strangers in the rink looking over at us were smiling, and pleased to be witnessing such a profound display. When I told my girlfriend that I was breaking up with her because I knew about her affair earlier, their smiles turned into a completely shocked expression. There was complete silence in the rink after I said it. Everyone was staring at me. My girlfriend and her face had turned as red as a tomato. I told her that I saw the text messages, and I told her that I was going to be moving out into my own apartment and she would never hear from me again. Her friend that didn't particularly like me was one of the ones hiding away. So I told her that she was a bad person and I think she should work on herself. When it was over, I reached out to the girlfriend of the guy my girlfriend was cheating with and told her everything. She dumped him and I saw that she went live on Instagram telling all of her followers about it.